What would I do if I had to do it all over again? If I wanted to start riding motorcycles in 2025, how would I approach this lifestyle? What are the choices I would make? And how would I make sure I'm riding in the best way possible? I'm gonna walk you through all of that in today's video, from how to get your endorsement, choosing the right bike, avoiding some of the online squid content traps, and everything else in between. Consider this your comprehensive guide to start riding. First off, we gotta talk about mindset. Whether it's success in motorcycling, entrepreneurship, your personal relationships, work, or school, everything comes down to your mentality and your attitude. Your mindset affects the decisions you make and how you react to new situations. And as you begin riding motorcycles, you are constantly going to be put in new situations that test both your decision-making abilities and your instincts. But by having a positive and sensible attitude, you're gonna put yourself in a great position. You're gonna react to threats on the road in a safe and cautious way. For instance, if a car cuts you off or you start growing impatient in traffic, you might be tempted to start overtaking aggressively or getting out of the way of everybody. But riding in frustration and anger is only going to increase your chances of being in a crash. Essentially, before you even get a motorcycle, make sure you got your priorities in check. Do you want to get a motorcycle because it's the cheapest way to experience 186 miles per hour? Or do you want to get a motorcycle to expand your horizons, broaden your experiences, and have some fun? While motorcycling has always attracted thrill seekers of every kind throughout the generations, there are more threats than ever for new riders. There are the Instagram and TikTok squids trying to indoctrinate you into the cult of the S1000RR AGV Pista helmet and hoodie combination. There's unhinged boomers ranting about sovereign citizenship on their Harley Davidsons. And heck, there's even some crazy bald guys on the internet riding Turbo Hayabusas in questionable ways.
Oh my God, dude.
So if you're getting into motorcycling in 2025, leave your ego at the door. We already have enough of it in motorcycling, if I'm being honest. Ride for the right reasons. You should be wary of the way you let outside influences shape or mold your perception of motorcycling. And look, I don't have to tell you, you live this every day. There's 17-year-olds out there driving Teslas while watching Joe Rogan and Subway surfers inside of their giant iPads in their cars. The roads are more dangerous than they've ever been. Distracted driving is crazy. But having a positive attitude, a clear head, and an earnest approach to motorcycling will help keep you safe, keep you learning, and stay riding. Once you've got your mental game locked in, the next step to motorcycling greatness is to become legally endorsed to ride a motorcycle. Here's a hot take. I don't care how many friends with R6s you have that tell you that you're gonna learn on the bike and it's gonna be just fine. He only crashed 3 times in his first year. Keep it under 5,000 RPMs, bro, and it'll be A-okay. Don't learn to ride by jumping on your buddy's R6. And honestly, don't learn to ride from any friends or family unless they're an accredited rider coach. Sure, it's one thing if one of your buddies has a Grom and let you putt around the parking lot or something like that under direct supervision. But don't have somebody you know try to teach you how to ride motorcycles. Even if they're a fantastic rider and they haven't gone down in the last 25 years, that doesn't mean they're a good teacher. Here's a fun fact I haven't publicized much on the channel. I spent 4 days this past year learning and becoming an accredited rider coach with the MSF, and the experience taught me that I don't actually want to be a teacher. I do much better as a communicator of motorcycling and motorcycle culture, but the burden and responsibility of someone's safety in real life was just a little bit too much for me personally. When you have a friend or family member teaching you how to ride, the more likely scenario that's gonna happen is they're just gonna impart their bad habits onto you. If a friend does teach you well enough so that you can pass the DMV course, it doesn't necessarily mean you have enough rider skill or technique to go out there on the public road. The best and simplest and most effective way in the United States to get your endorsement to ride a motorcycle is to take the weekend course with the MSF, the BRC, the Basic Rider Course. It's a weekend of your time, maybe a couple $100, and all you need is some basic gear and a willingness to learn. It's how I got started riding over 10 years ago. In some states, taking the MSF is actually the only way to get your motorcycle endorsement. In others, it waives the DMV test and can offer you a discount on insurance. And the classroom portion has been replaced with an online course that you can take, minimizing your time in a classroom and maximizing your time on the range riding motorcycles, which is the fun part. The MSF is a great way for you to get those basic skills and foundations to start riding a motorcycle, but you're not going to leave the course an absolute expert, so definitely plan on continuing your education and your learning on the bike. Before you buy your motorcycle, you should make sure you have all the necessary riding gear to go with it. You don't want to blow your whole piggy bank buying a baby squid missile only to realize that you don't have enough cash left over to get a real helmet, and so you settle for a Temu brain bucket. Motorcycle gear, in our opinion here on Yami Noob, includes head to toe, helmet, jacket, gloves, boots, and riding pants. Helmets carry different safety ratings based on the number of tests they've passed through certain government bodies. The bare minimum standard that a motorcycle helmet needs to be legally sold in the United States is the illustrious DOT sticker, but that sticker doesn't really tell you the whole story. The secret truth in the motorcycle industry is that the vaunted ECE sticker is really the one you want to look for because they have a much higher standard of testing in Europe over America. There are plenty of affordable, great helmets with that ECE sticker that's going to protect your brain, that's not going to break the bank either. As far as your other pieces of safety equipment go, look for CE ratings to make sure that you're meeting those requirements as well. I'd also highly recommend shopping based on the ultra reputable brands. Look for stuff from Alpine Stars, Revit, Shoei, Arai, just really good brands that have a reputation for quality. A quick and easy way to determine if a brand has good reputation is just look on their website. If it looks like it was designed by a 12-year-old, they probably don't make good stuff. But beyond the safety rating, gear is truly a matter of personal taste and subjective opinion. As long as you get stuff that's safe, you can get something that looks cool for your bike or looks cool for your ride and comes in all kinds of shapes, colors, and sizes. We recommend buying from reputable online sellers as well. Don't go to Amazon or weird Chinese websites to get your stuff. If you should go down, you really want to make sure your gear is there to protect you. And as you continue riding, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to upgrade your gear to something that's more tailored to your riding, a little bit nicer or a little bit flashier. I personally waited about 7 years until I got my holy grail helmet, my Isle of Man TT Arai Corsair X. Look, I'm sure this is what you've been waiting for and scrubbing through the video to find. Yami, tell me which beginner bike to get right now. What is the best beginner bike I should buy? Just tell me what to do. Well, here's the brutal truth. If I was a beginner in 2025, I wouldn't spend my precious time on this earth cross-shopping a bunch of different beginner bikes. I just wouldn't. I'd find a good, used, reputable platform, I'd buy it, and I'd just get out there and ride the damn thing. Ninja 400, SV650, heck, if I'm feeling adventurous, maybe an MT-07, a good used DRZ 400, the sky's the limit. The point is to get out there and ride. Don't go get some 19% loan on a $6,000 beginner bike. Spend what you can afford to live without. I see a lot of people get stuck in this decision-making paralysis, cross-shopping endlessly between motorcycles, looking at all the different spec sheets and all the different shootout comparisons, when in reality, most beginner motorcycles fundamentally do the same thing. Some motorcycles may excel in some areas over others, but obsessing over the details between two 40-something horsepower beginner bikes is really sort of a waste of time. And I see this most in the audience that maybe doesn't have the funds ready to purchase a motorcycle yet, so you're doing what you can, which is creating an Excel sheet and looking through all the details. Personally, don't worry about motorcycling until you have the money to just go out there and pull the trigger. Then start from there. Buy a bike that's cheap and near where you live. Japanese motorcycle, a few years old, under $5,000, and you got the makings of a great beginner motorcycle. Don't overthink it. Having spent the last 10 years of my life riding and obsessing over motorcycles, I've learned that my tolerance for doing very extensive repairs and maintenance on my motorcycles is pretty low. It's just not something I'm all that interested in doing because I know myself. I have a lot more fun riding bikes than meticulously wrenching and maintaining them. But that being said, every motorcyclist should be able to do the basics on their bike. I'm talking stuff like brake pad swaps, chain tension adjustments, maybe doing the oil on the motorcycle, swapping out levers, the things that are just simply not worth paying a shop to do. And going even further, as a new rider in 2025, I would be less interested in extensively modifying my motorcycle as well. Most new riders get very excited about modifying and changing things on their bikes, but the older I get and the more I ride, the less interested I am in changing out parts on my bike and simply just swapping out the consumables for the good stuff and enjoying the ride. And what do I mean by that? Well, things like really good sets of tires, making sure your brakes work well, making sure that your throttle is lubed and adjusted, the real basics that make your bike fun and good to ride. And hey, check your tire PSI every once in a while, will ya? Every rider should have a basic understanding on how to maintain and repair the really simple stuff on their bikes. But there really isn't a good reason to go buck wild with modifications, especially as a new rider. Just spend that time riding and save your money for your next motorcycle. One of the biggest things I can tell you that I've learned in the past 10 years of riding a motorcycle is to just avoid the new rider traps. Don't pay double for a bike just because it's a brand new 2025 year model and it makes 4 more horsepower than a 2022 model year bike. Don't approach riding from a speed first perspective. Understand that your speed will come with time. It's a byproduct of skill, not necessarily something you should chase. The better rider you become, the faster and more capable you naturally will be. You should ignore the influence of short-form content creators whose only real objective is to mine whatever little dopamine you have left in your brain. They typically don't offer real-world riding advice that's good. Try to seek out content and advice from reputable riders and reputable creators. Being able to sift through all the digital noise is one of the greatest skills you can have in the 2020s. And don't rush into things. Don't feel like you need to jump into a 120 horsepower motorcycle because you're already outgrowing your beginner bike. Take things slow, take it all in. Motorcycling is a cool experience, and you got plenty of time. Have fun, don't take things too seriously, don't get too big of an ego, and don't get stuck in your own way. Motorcycling is a long journey if you do it correctly, and don't be surprised on where you end up after many years in the saddle. Don't spend 8 years disparaging adventure bikes just to find yourself riding one in your 30s. Not that I would know anything about that. So if I was going to start riding in 2025, I would first and foremost get a solid foundation of rider skill and mindset. I would get good, safe gear. I'd get a cheap and simple beginner bike, and I'd also have a patient willingness to learn. I would approach motorcycling from a point of holistic growth, as an activity that can broaden my horizons and turn me into a better person, not adrenaline-fueled escapism. Because when you slow things down, you realize life can be pretty sweet. Thanks for checking out today's video, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you saw, click this link over here and check out this next video on how you can be a better motorcycle rider. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.